It's Wednesday on Your View, our live audience show. Welcome to the show, people. I am Morayo Afolabi Brand. As always, I have my co-host with me. Hi, ladies. How you guys doing?
We are doing excellent.
Nima Akasha, so you would not see the moon.
We did not.
So it's tomorrow.
So
by God's grace.
Shaban is 30 today, so we'll fast tomorrow.
By God's grace.
By God's grace.
That's
so
good.
we're happy. Someone was asking me that you know that's usually, and someone graciously, someone that I at least expected, that's what do you want for Ramadan? I was like, okay. And we now started this joke like, I don't want Bonvita, I don't want Milo, we don't want all the usuals.
Oh,
we don't want all those beverages.
What do you want?
I want Aj.
That's nice. I had said I had somebody ordered for delivery to the mosque today, but unfortunately, since they did not see the moon, I have to at least. We were working all night. Sorry?
You have to ascertain from him. Should you still deliver?
I have to deliver tomorrow because that was supposed to be for the first breaking of fast.
Okay.
So, but it's exciting. It was really exciting. Yes, I was under serious pressure. Serious pressure to get that done. 200 bottles is no joke, but I was able to. It was not good. It's exciting.
One of those things that will help a fasting person recover those nutrients. I take it every time, so I know.
Right. How are you doing, Jimmy?
I ordinarily wouldn't get away with my voice on radio or even on TV without having co-hosts. So I'm very grateful to God that
You're doing much talking today.
I'm not a normal person. I'm very extraordinary, and ordinary people do not understand me, therefore. 4 years ago on this couch, all the things I said about President Buhari, go and check them. Jumoke said, what? Check. 2 weeks ago, I said, when was President Buhari? 2 days after leaving the US. Someone said, Jumoke, just admit that you are wrong. The very next day.
You never admit you're wrong, even if you're wrong.
The very next day, did they not say that his 2 day was to
just stopped by? He just stopped by. But nobody said that he wasn't going to go to the UK.
Exactly.
I said to her this morning she's a juggle.
So it's
but I'm very grateful to God.
I know this is not your normal voice, but I like the sound of it. Very nice.
You use it up here.
Yes,
how are you doing?
I'm fine. Today, especially, I noticed everyone is looking rather colorful, very pretty. Well done.
Talking about our audience, you know, people always think that, I'll come back to you, sorry. People always think that we pay people to come. That's not true. We never pay anybody in the audience. They come voluntarily, they come out of their busy schedule, they take out time to come here early to be here. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We don't pay anybody. So, because some people, we appreciate it. Some people feel restricted that they have a certain people. No, because they see some familiar faces, but it's not true. They come volunteering. So if you want to come, you can also come. And very soon we're going to start daily, so you can pick a day and come. We would appreciate your presence in the show, I'm sure. Yes.
So if they turn you back for coming late, don't say it's because they're paying some more. Come early.
Come early.
Yes.
Okay. So yesterday, Tope and I went for this conference, the African
the Family Life.
Yes.
I really wanted to do
How was that?
It was amazing. It was like they took my brain and just rejigged it. Like, and it was just, it's always good to go for things like that and just sit down with people who have information and how they have lived their life. So
very true. So from now, your parenting will be deliberate. It won't be by accident.
Exactly.
Well
and then it shows that, you know, some of the ills of the society starts from the home.
Very
you know,
true.
so until we start changing the way we parent our children and
most, if not all.
That's why we're trying to even, you know, very soon. I know we've been trying to get that direction of, because there's a movement for people to get information. So, yes, it's great we're talking politics, but at some point, we might need to change that focus, like, let's educate each other. There's marriage counseling, there's family life coaching, there's parenting guidelines, there's so many things you can do to help to fix the future, because you can't give what you don't have.
That's without giving our politics also.
Yeah, so
you can do all of that.
But the idea is that
you have to balance it.
We don't necessarily have to balance it all the time, but the thing is that we need a lot of re-education. A lot of Nigerians need a lot of re-education and reorientation. That's what we need to do.
Okay, when
so
you
we'll consider that.
When you hear yourself later, you think you don't really need to balance it.
No, I'm saying that we don't have to always talk politics. Everybody's talking politics. There are people to talk politics. We don't always have to talk politics. That's the point I'm trying to make. That we don't have to focus so much on politics. There are so many other things. Let's not take this up here.
Important.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Honestly, there's nothing in the papers today. Only Governor Rivers State's issue against this Commander Akin Fakorede, but we'll just breeze through the punch first. I was ousted, says, detained for fighting corruption, says Buhari. Shiite leader El Zakzaki arraigned in Kaduna. 2 feared dead in robbery attack in Ekiti Bank. Lagos politician batters phone repairer for meddling in fight with wife. If they continue to harass my supporters, I may dump APC, says Uni. Buhari will win 2019 poll without the new PDP, says El Rufai. National Assembly raises 2018 budget by 508 billion naira. Maize theft, National Assembly panel summons Omo Agege and Ndume. FG writes UK, US over alleged hacking of Buhari's medical records. All right, the human interest, who has that story? Nima?
Story,
yeah,
yes.
go ahead,
So
please.
this young phone repairer was passing somewhere in Arekpo, and a former councillor of the Kosisheri, that's the lawmaker angle of the local government, was having marital issues with his wife to the point of domestic violence, and they were doing it on the street. So a passerby then goes like, look at you beating a woman. And you know, a man who doesn't have control over his anger is one who beats his wife. So he lost his control of his anger and went to another man, and then we had a proper fight, man to man. So that one, he threw a punch at him. According to the reporter in the punch, he said he replied the slap.
Imagine. The reporter wrote that, he replied the slap.
That's what the eyewitness was saying. So they took the eyewitness account like that.
Yeah.
That he slapped him and then he replied the slap. So he went at him. The guy was saying he was punched and then he punched him back and they had a fight. So because I'm a former councillor, he caused the military to come and pick him up and claimed that he was being robbed. And they came and found that it wasn't a robbery. He later owned up that, you know, he fought me because of my wife, and the military head settled the matter amicably between them. This happened in April, early April. He didn't let go of the matter. He went to the police, he reported. The young man went to the police station, gave his statement. They saw that there was no issue there. Right. They didn't charge him. He then went back and insisted that I was robbed. I lost my phone and my wristwatch, and I want this person charged to court. Trying to abuse normal process.
Right.
And now they picked him up, and the police are insisting that he will be charged to court. May I just inform the former councillor that false accusation is also a crime.
It's also a crime.
Malicious prosecution, when they find out that this man cannot be convicted and that your accusation was baseless, he has a right of action then to sue you in civil court and even criminally for malicious prosecution. I don't know why people do this.
No, they watch too much of Hollywood movies that come up with those things.
I don't understand.
And they just think that it's okay. No. But let's take another story. Who has the Ekiti Bank story?
I have the Ekiti Bank story. So, Ilawe Ekiti, that's a local government. The Union Bank was robbed, and 2 people, 1 police officer and a bank worker, were killed. The robbers came into the bank just as a bullion van had delivered cash. So here we are again, you know, the same story of, I think yes, but before El Zakzaki, I mean, the Alawe of Ilawe was saying that this bank is really close to his palace. I really don't understand how these things happen in broad daylight.
They can rob anywhere, doesn't really matter where it is.
He has security in his house to cover the bank.
But this El Zakzaki finally has been arraigned.
Well, and the good news out of that is that he's alive.
Yes.
Because
we saw him. Yes. Standing.
I mean, people had been saying that, 2 years we haven't seen him. But there are also some people asking that, is it the Kaduna State government that has the jurisdiction to charge him to court, or the federal government? Is the Kaduna State government acting on behalf of the military?
Okay, all crimes within every state is governed by the laws of the state. It's only certain crimes that are federal crimes, like armed robbery and all that are covered by federal acts. So he is rightfully charged by...
His rights have also been violated because for 2 years the courts had asked that he be released.
You know, Jumoke and I have had like a behind-the-scenes discussion about this. I'm not very sympathetic of El Zakzaki because I feel that he has...
Yes, I understand, but at the end of the day, we must always fight for
every
justice.
Due process.
Due process.
Moving on now to Daily Sun. As I said, Governor Wike is really on this matter, and I'm going to take this opportunity to actually read what the allegations are. So let me read to you, because we've seen this paper since for the past 2-3 weeks now going on. INEC speak on this election rigor and save Nigeria's democracy. The story of Akin Fakorede, and let me read it very quickly. Page 66 of INEC report into Rivers Rerun 2016 unveils this man as follows. But the most mind-boggling were cases of hostage taking, hijack of materials and physical attacks on INEC officials perpetrated by security operatives. Of singular note was a certain policeman named Akin Fakorede, who ostensibly is the commander of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad in Rivers State. Mr. Fakorede first tried to lure INEC staff to travel with him from Port Harcourt to a different local government under the pretext of enabling them to collate results. But for intervention of the national commissioners, we suspect that he could have put our staff in harm's way. He failed in his bid, and he stalked the INEC officials to the collation center. Anyway, bottom line, and he according to him, he attacked, physically assaulted Dr. Odekwe and Mrs. Tunkayo. In fact, Dr. Odekwe ended up in the hospital. The point is that those are the allegations, because we've been seeing this in the papers for the past 3 weeks. And Governor Wike is practically trying to tell everybody to understand very clearly that he doesn't want this man to be reassigned to Rivers State.
Silence in the face of these kind of things is worrying. I don't understand how this publication, this is the third time I'm seeing this publication on this couch. Maybe when I wasn't around, there were publications there on the front page, but when a governor or any state or even one person is saying, I have something to worry about the character of a person, and such publications are made, in some climes, that person won't even get the appointment, not to talk of, can you just post him to another state? Find someone else to come and take care of security. Are you saying that the police do not have any qualified hand to take care of Rivers State except Fakorede?
But does the governor have the right to reject
his character,
who have been sent to?
This is not about it, right? This is about question of his character.
Okay.
The governor has raised issues that are pertaining to his... the abuse of his office.
Is the process not for the police to investigate first, to find him
to get him out of the state? Investigate it. If the governor is lying, then let us know. Don't leave him there and say, deal with it. Okay. This is the third publication, and each page, front page, I have on valid authority that it costs over 10 million.
Punch is 20. Okay, we don't have Punch. Punch is at least 20 million. Plus, we always say that the governor is the chief security officer of any state. If he does not have any trust in the security apparatus in the state, what are we doing?
Unfortunately, all of us have the same story, so there's hardly any other thing to talk about. But let's move quickly to Vanguard. You're not, Dogara to Buhari, you're not the only corrupt-free Nigerian. That's the only other story. Who has that story?
I read the story. So, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Dogara, speaking at the 8th Commonwealth Anti-Corruption Conference over the weekend, mentioned to President Buhari that it's not the only corruption-free Nigeria, meaning that there are several others of them. President Buhari was also mentioning that the reason he was detained for 3 years by former head of state Babangida was because he fought corruption. Babangida many times had said that he ousted head of state Buhari at the time because of the sufferings and that he wasn't listening, he wasn't carrying the people along.
Buhari was also... We have to move on. Unfortunately, we can't take any of these stories. Yeah. We have to move on. We run out of time.
The New Telegraph, I think it sort of has the story. I just want to put another, spin on what she has read, which is that Buhari really is not saying this is not about a witch hunt, because that's one thing we might be looking at this fight against. And what really caught me, there's this quote I'll read from the New Telegraph, which says, I see in the office the resolve of Nigerians to fight corruption. We must change our ways of handling public trust. War on corruption is not easy to fight. We must encourage Nigerians to change their attitude. We are not engaged in witch hunting. So
that's our president.
That's our president.
So he needs to start listening to the courts also. So he showed leadership by example.
Unfortunately, that's all we can take on Front Page. When we come back, we'll discuss the 2018 budget. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So it's been 6 whole months since the first presentation of the 2018 budget. According to reports, we have that the House of Reps are about to pass the budget into law. So we ask, how have we fared with the 2017 budget in comparison to what is about to be passed with the 2018 budget? With us is the lead partner, Budget, Oluseun Onigbinde. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You can call us You can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. We know you don't work with the budget office, but the point is you work with an NGO, budget.
Yeah, budget.
Tell us about what budget does and why they're involved in the budget the budget of the
how and
budget.
why.
All right, no worries. I know budget is technical, but I'll make it simple.
Yes.
So we started 6 years ago in the Yaba office in Yaba, and there's this new renaissance in Yaba around technology, startups. So we're part of that. And the whole idea is make government budget simple and make it accessible for people. Everybody should understand how public funds are spent. A lot of people will tell you that apart from the constitution of a country, the most important document within a democracy is budget, because you can promise the whole world everything, you know. You can promise that you're going to give 25 million people 5,000 naira. If it's not in the budget, it's not possible, and it might not really happen. So for us, this is a very important document. But the way it is written is in a very technical space, so you need to find someone who is simplifying it, who's bringing out what really matters to you, and that's what we have been doing. We also track projects in local areas. So
that's the part that I love about you. I've followed you, you know, over the years.
Thank you.
And you're a young man, 32 going on 33. I'm so proud of what you've done.
Thank you.
with budget.
All right, thank you.
So on the part of tracking, it's budget that allows me to know that their budget is 750 million for borehole.
Yep.
Did they build it?
Yep.
That's fantastic. So my very first question is, let's even start with 2017, because I know you also did it for 2016. The budget, comparing to what we're proposing in 2018, how effectively have we spent it?
You know, the way we are budgeting these days is that we're budgeting like somebody that went to Harvard, you know, but is doing a clerk job in Oshodi. So you
What does that mean?
you expected to have so much money in your pocket because you went to Harvard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you start working in Oshodi and you start budgeting because you feel that you went to Harvard. We budget 9 trillion naira, but if you look at Nigeria's revenue, how much revenue do we make in a year? We make less than 4 trillion in a year. But then you have just oil and you adjust for taxes, and that even can't even pay your recurrent expenditure.
What about those indices that they say, you know, encourage them to do these things like, you know, excess crude account is good, we have a GDP that is good, we have foreign investors that are coming. So those kind of things, when we say the debt profile is increasing, they will say, no, we are looking at ECA. We are looking at,
they say they are good debts.
They are good debts. That you need to borrow
Capital,
to grow out of recession. You know, those kind of things, they justify this. What about all those things?
No, but it's important that you borrow, but the quality of your borrowing is important. Because if you bring it down to individual, if you borrow to do Ashwebi or you borrow to you know when someone dies and they say they are turning
5th year, remember?
5th year. So it depends on the quality of what you are borrowing for is critical, and I think that's what we do in Nigeria. We're not borrowing for investments. You know, we're possibly just borrowing for consumption.
Can you just give like one good example of how we're badly borrowing, just so that people will understand?
So, for example, this administration has borrowed close to 6.5 trillion naira in the space of 3 years. And if you add all the capital spending that they have had, in reality, they have not done 2 trillion naira. So the question is, where is 4.5 trillion? So in some sort of way, and there's also what you call overheads. They're taking a whole lot of overdrafts from the CBN. Meaning that borrow us money in CBN, but we have TSA with you, the borrowing against the TSN. Nobody's really able to be saying that where exactly are all this money is going to. And people will tell you that because we're in a recession and we needed to spend our way out of it, that's why this borrowing item. But we also want to understand that when you're in a recession, standard thing is government goes lean. Government cuts on its own expenses.
Okay, I want you to
Would that have meant sacking people?
You might even look at all your personal assistants. It might be like National Assembly takes a 50% haircut. You might even look at, okay, what are even the rules? You might not even sack people, but just
Don't buy cars this year.
Okay, I want us to really break it down so that the average person speaking, because we understand what you're saying, but some people don't, they're clueless, they're lost already. I want you to break down how Mr. A, who's a minister, sits and gets a budget for 10 million, right? Now, goes to the National, tell us that process, goes to the National Assembly. Okay. Somehow it becomes 15 million naira, whatever it is, then the president signs it. At what point, who gets the money? Where's the cash domiciled? How do they get the money? And how can we, the people, hold them accountable for that money? So just break it down so the person on the street can understand.
Okay, so let me explain. So you start, the budget is a planning document. So it's not just a spending document. So before you do a budget, you plan. You look at what are your biggest needs. So you define that. You go through the Federal Executive Council, you go through your own ministries and define your priorities, because there's so many things to do at a particular time. Now, when you get approval from the Federal Executive Council and it's all bundled together, it goes to the National Assembly. The National Assembly has the power to appropriate. Now, there's been a whole lot of contention about, some people say the National Assembly has wide powers, some people say they have narrow powers, but reality of the matter is that the National Assembly can add or subtract or do anything to the budget.
Okay.
They'll give it back to the president.
Right.
The president would review it and sign. If the president doesn't sign, even the National Assembly has power to override the president and pass the budget into law. Now, when that's done, the next step would now be that, because there are two sides of the budget when it comes to expenditure. There's the recurrent side, and there is the capital expenditure side. The recurrent is the salaries, your overheads. You're buying fuel into your car, you're buying bullets to your guns, and you're paying your debt. That's easily spent. You don't need a lot of problems to pay salaries. But the part that is harder is the capital, which is the roads, the schools, the hospitals, and that has to go through a whole contracting process. So as an agency, and that's why most times you find that the recurrent side performs. Salaries are paid, you know, debt services are paid. National Assembly gets their own money. What really suffers in the budget is the capital part, because it takes a while. It takes at least 6 months in the Nigerian procurement cycle before you get the budget passed. As we are talking today, the recurrent for 2018 budget has started in January. Because you will not say that because we have not passed the budget,
we won't pay salaries.
Take it. We will not say, so when we say the budget is not passed, what really suffers is the capital component.
So for example, the Minister of Education had budgeted, I think, 50+ billion last year. 51 billion. So that money right now, so part of it, I don't know what percentage is for recurrent, but he would have justified what he wants to do in the educational sector.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what is been approved for him.
The recurrent was actually different. So the 51 billion part was in the capital. So that hasn't been spent.
So how does he access and how is that spent? How do we monitor it?
So every money, all the money, if you borrow money, if you take oil money, everything is domiciled within the Ministry of Finance and the Treasury or in CBN definitely. The person who manages that money is the Accountant General of the Federation. It's like your bank manager. He's the one managing all your money. So you go through your procurement process, meaning you do advertisement, and after you do all your advertisement, and you've chosen the winner, and you've chosen the bid winner, the person gets a note to get to the CBN and get the money out. So maybe you've already defined, you're giving 40%, 30%, and 30%. That's why there are also classes of spending. So there's what you call capital release. There's what you call cashback expenditure. And I'll explain that. And there's what you call spending. Now, the first thing after you've done all your procurement is that the government will say, we have allowed you to go through this procurement cycle. Okay, you want to build this road. This road is 400 million. We have released 400 million for you on paper. That means go ahead and do it. On paper. Now, it might not be cashback. Cashback means the money might not be in CBN as at that time. You need to go through that process to ensure that the money is the CBN and you can pay the contractor. And the next phase will now be that the contractor now utilizes the money, meaning he or she gets the money. So it's a whole long process for capital expenditure.
It sounds really tedious, though.
Yeah, it's very tedious.
I think it makes it more expensive because you know the Nigerian factor then comes in.
Now
so you have to speed it up. All the way to the CBN.
And if
you have
listen to Fashola a lot of times recently, he's been saying the procurement process, and listened to him yesterday, the procurement process is, at the federal level is so protracted. And despite that, it doesn't mean that corruption does not happen.
That was my next question.
That's where I was going to go because, you know...
That even brings corruption on its own.
Yes, I was going to say, you know, during the program that I went for, you had like your group of your tech people decide, and they were talking about one of the reasons that there can be like a slow passage of the budget. And they said, you know, they've looked at it over time and it's usually maybe, you know, underhanded activities going on. Is that what do you think? Is that the problem?
So
really?
Some people on say every item in the budget has a specific interest attached to it. Yeah, that's the truth. Like if you look at the National Assembly now, they added 500 billion naira to this board.
Over 500 billion.
And if you look at the additions, 400 billion is on the capital expenditure. That means they thought of project by themselves and they plugged in and say, these are our own capital projects.
We have to go on a break.
You have to go on a break. Oh my God.
When we come back, we'll talk more because
corruption.
we need to understand this issue of corruption and budget padding. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thank you. Thanks for staying with us. So we're going to start with Nima. You have a question.
How do we avoid an ambitious budget with the National Assembly increasing the crude oil benchmark in this budget from $45 per barrel to $50 per barrel, and increasing an 8-point-something trillion naira budget that's already worrying for us to 9.1 trillion? And what is the role of them as, you know, the check on the executive and the excesses of the executive?
So I would start with that. You see, the benchmark price is a political issue. 45 to why you see 500 billion extra is the reason for that $5 is the main reason, because National Assembly wants their programs. They don't want to tamper mainly with what the executive has put on ground. So they just jack up the benchmark price and use the revenue that will come from that difference to put in their own project. And so you see that every time the National Assembly jacks up that. Now, to a certain level, they're right, and I will tell you why, because oil price now is around $80 per barrel.
Yes.
So if you're budgeting 45, maybe realistically it's not what it should be. But it should have just possibly reduced your deficit, meaning that the money you plan to borrow in the budget, maybe you reduce that a bit, since you now have more revenue. Not like you're introducing new projects.
But talking about the new projects, we've had people from the House come tell us that, listen, they don't even have access to these funds. That is a procurement body that they have, I think it's 200 million they have access to, but they don't, the cash doesn't come to their hands. How could you tell us the corruption part that we don't see in that part? Because for us, it seems logical that the cash doesn't get to their hands. But in your own case, what do you really see?
It's logical, to be sincere. The National Assembly, apart from their own allocation, National Assembly member is not supposed on any level supposed to have access to public funds. He's not supposed. But if you, as a minister, or if you want rest of mind, because that's when, because for those constituency projects, we have done the research, we find that most of the contractors, the siting of the projects, and now they mostly do what they call empowerment projects. Now. So who is supposed to be going to handle the empowerment? It's still the same National Assembly.
All right, let me take this call from Fola. Morning, thanks for calling. Are you there? Thanks for calling. Are you there? I think we lost the call. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I was going to ask, you're doing this, making budget easy and simpler. Why are you doing? What do you expect from people looking at the information that you put out there?
Accountability.
What do you expect of us Nigerians looking at this? You're breaking it down for Nigerians, of course. What are you expecting from Nigerians?
What we expect actually in budget is that we will say we want to see a community of active citizens, you know, because you can be a citizen and not active. You're not asking questions, you're not paying taxes, you're not demanding effective service delivery. Because the way public resources work is that there are so many interests involved. No, the people that want to buy private jets, those who want extra codes, those who want to travel out, those who want medical tourism. There's so many interests, and this is public money that, you know, it belongs to everybody and belongs to nobody in some sort of way. So you must be able to agitate that the things that matter to you get to happen.
Personally, are you impressed with Nigerians? Since you started budget, has anything changed? Do you think that people are picking up more interest? What do you think?
I think it's changed, but maybe not at the scale we want it to be. Maybe not, you know, at the scale, because you have a country of 180, let's adjust for the adult population of maybe 80 million people. You know, we've done a whole lot of work in the grassroots. And interest in the grassroots get more excited, because don't forget that most of them, they are stuck with government, the schools, their water systems. We can privatize things on our own side.
Let's take Yakub. Morning, Yakub, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning to your guests. I really love you. Good morning to the beautiful audience in the studio. The analysis that your guests did this morning. But quickly, I want to ask some certain questions. Morayo, these people are jacking up the budget now. and then by almost $500 million. Morayo, the question is this. We Nigeria, I think we have already missed some certain things. When you bring women cry out last time that they are always padding this budget. And then we all keep quiet, and then we allow the guy to stay at home for almost 1 year before the man later begs them and return back to the National Assembly. The question now is this. When they jack this thing up now, all the cost of constituency project, what is the role? The question now go to the guest in the studio. What is the role of local government chairman now? If the House of Assembly member can jack up the budget to that amount, and then they are telling us they want to do one for another, what is the role of local government chairman? Thank you, God bless you.
I have to correct you though, it's not $500 million, it's $500 billion. Yes, so go ahead.
For me, for me, if you look at the National Assembly jacking up the budgets, let's get what we call padding right. What the National Assembly has done is not padding. This is padding. Padding is that if the budget is passed tomorrow, and we all agree this is the budget, somehow some guys at the back, before it's transmitted to the executives, go and start doctoring it again.
But that's the padding.
That's the padding, because that's why in the National Assembly now look at this is not the budget that we pass. Agree. There's also padding on the executive level when it has been signed by Federal Executive Council, and before it's transmitted to the National Assembly, some people also are doctoring because the budget is an authority to spend. Yeah, once the budget is signed. So for me, I think the executive will have to look scrutinized, and this is why this might be another long. We might be doing another 3-4 weeks.
So if they pass it today, because the National Assembly has promised to pass it today, so it may take another 8 weeks for the president to look through it.
So check whether this is what he sent today.
That they are sending back. Now, but when we spoke about padding in the previous budget, the president and the House of Assembly Speaker Dogara promised that 2018 budget will have no padding.
Yeah.
But we find that in the recurrent side, there's some funny things. Like you want to repair the Vice President's gatehouse with 100 million. You want to buy a computer. You want to drill borehole. In 2016, they were paying for Aso Rock. I remember it was budget. Right? Yeah, they were paying rent for Aso Rock. You exposed all of that. Did that change, for instance, in the next budget, or is the same thing?
The problem with budget, one first problem is that the Nigerian budget is just templated. So a lot of times, most of them are not even thinking through the items. For example, you'll be shocked that there are embassies, embassies out of this country where they don't have power outages for years, but the budget for generator.
We have a budget. We have a budget office.
Yeah, the budget for yeah. So some sort of way, and that's why the executive needs a lot of control, and I think that's what is missing. No matter what National Assembly puts in the budget, the right to spend still lies with the executive.
Let me take this call. Let me take this call. Abdul, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, first of all, I'm very, very impressed with your guest. I want to thank him. You know, if every Nigerian take that kind of if every Nigerian young people take that kind of role, believe me, this country will change it for you.
Show for president.
Now,
God, I don't have body.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I have two things to quickly say. I mean, year in, year out, this National Assembly guys, you know, becomes demigods. Is there nothing we can do? They are representing us for crying out loud. You know, they can't just do whatever they want. That's number one. Number two, the budget is 6 months late already. Yes, I understand they can sort out their recurrence and all that, which is not why we send them there. The average Nigerian send them there for capital development, end of story.
Yep.
So if all this impunity is going on, for me, it's part of the corruption that this country, corruption is not just about, you know, exchanging of money and all that. You know, for people not doing the job that they are sent to do is the biggest corruption that you can do to mankind. Thank you very much.
One of the things that...
I want to ask a question based on the example you just made now, that some embassies are budgeting generators. The proposal for the budget is drafted by the executive. If the executive fail to check certain embassies and see that certain things are not needed, the people who are supposed to approve this budget should have the role to be empowered to check it too.
Yes,
so is it that both two arms of government, two strong arms of government are failing us in doing audit?
That's what I told you. I told you one night, every budget line item is representing a specific interest.
Imagine that.
So the National Assembly members that you see, we've done too much work to say every year, these are line items, you need to review them. But what I've seen is most times they hardly touch it. They just bring their own new things into the budget. Or maybe they negotiate and exchange it from someone else.
There are two questions I have for you. Let me start with the role of technology. Do you think if we have this whole system automated somehow, that it will curb a lot of these padding or special interests? I mean, would it reduce it to a minimum?
I think the budget office has tried a bit because after you remember the 2016 budget was very nasty.
Yes,
it was stolen, it was moved, it was padded and repadded, and
it was stolen.
Yeah, and I think they learnt a bit. So now all the ministries submit via in an electronic format. Okay. So what you submit is locked. So it doesn't mean that someone is bringing paper in and just adjusting on the way. But I think it could be much more better. The executive and the National Assembly, for example, Buhari would comb this thing manually, possibly. Yeah. And then that's another 3 weeks work. Yeah, it could have been easy where it's all just one single software. And we can build that. I'm sure we even tried to talk to National Assembly once, but they didn't. They just software that shit. This is the difference between both ways.
All right, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue, we round up our conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Yeah, thanks.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks. So we're going to go to the audience to ask a few questions. Go ahead.
In our constituencies, are we moving alongside
the budget?
Because the basic amenities that are supposed to be made for us, we don't get them. And they tell you that in this budget, the breakdown, constituency allowance, it's included, but we don't get them. And two, on the corruption issue now, do you think we can wipe away corruption? Why I'm saying so is those in government that have been accused of corruption, in their reign, in your tenure as you're there, they keep holding on to it until you are through with your tenure. If I know that I cannot be charged for the period of time I will be there, I will embezzle what you want to embezzle, and then you still finish your tenure and go. So how do you fight it? So as budget NGO, do you have the right to advise the government on how to fix their budget the right way that will suit a common man?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. We support government, and I'm sure we've supported National Assembly, we've supported the Budget Office, we've supported the Ministry of Budget and Planning, Kaduna State, Ebonyi State, I can count. And we always write them private memos. Not everything we put in public. Sometimes you can change X, Y, Z, and sometimes they respond. Sometimes because of the old bureaucracy and the civil service structure, things don't move as fast as you think. But I think our first question is corruption. Corruption, for me to fight corruption within the hospital, you need three things. Number one, you need strong punitive systems. Someone steals money, someone inflates contract, there has to be strong consequences. You need radical transparency. People that love corruption, they don't like things being open. They like things being opaque. And I think this government has not moved as fast as possible in that regard.
I wanted to add to our question. I apologize. Bill Gates was here and said that we needed to develop human capital. And our budget is moved from 4 trillion during Jonathan to 9. 5 trillion in 3 going on 4 years. And she mentioned that the lives of the people hasn't changed. How does the budget change the life of the people? What does the government need to do?
The life has not changed because, number one, most of the budgeting we're doing are not that realistic. I don't think we need a 9 trillion budget right now. I don't think it's that realistic. We don't do, even 2016, 2017, we didn't do up to 6 trillion in the entire, that's why budgeting 8 trillion. So that's the first problem. Number two is that we're over-investing in, I'm not over-investing, but if you look at the ratios, we're putting so much money in infrastructure, which is Bill Gates' strong point. You're putting so much money in infrastructure. He's right. But are you investing in health, education, young people empowerment? You're not doing that.
She mentioned something about constituency projects. How does a citizen go to the local government to know what exactly has been approved and to monitor it's been carried out.
Yeah, and just to add to her, because to quickly, I know you have Tracker, which is you follow up on this project. Yeah. So how have you been doing that?
So you can, if you did the constituency project, I mean the federal constituency project, you can ask us at tracker.ng, T-R-A-C-K-A, NG, Tracker.ng. We would give you all the constituency project for your state or for your local government. For the state level budget, it's not that transparent. We have a problem, the bigger problem in states than even the federal government. Because most states, there's no compulsion, there's no law that says a state should publish its budget. And so what you have to do is to put them under pressure.
So Lagos State's 1 trillion now. Nobody is
Lagos State publishes its budget. They published it yesterday. But it is not as detailed as it should be. Yeah, that's the problem.
Let me come to the audience. Yes, please.
The councillors and the chairman people, do they make budgets? If they do, is it included in the governor's budget? And how do they get it? Because you see abandoned projects, abandoned road projects.
Thank you very much. So those are the streets that we see every day, the refuse, those things that are close to us. Do they have a budget to do these things?
Local governments are supposed to have projects. The budget of a local government is not part of the state budget. But you know that the local government has been severely weakened because it has been hijacked by the state governors. And so in some sort of way, you just find local government they just pay primary school teachers, they pay their local government workers, and there's practically nothing left to do, because most of the time they have this joint account that everything is pulled together.
I think we need to put some searchlights on the state government budgets.
Yeah,
that's where a lot of things are happening.
Yeah, a lot of people, like Buhari will not be able to look at the old buying jets and see how they drag out reactions. Most state governors do worse. Yeah, they just, because number one, the State House of Assembly does not have financial autonomy. That means you depend on the executive to get your salary. The National Assembly has financial autonomy, meaning the Treasury does not need the approval of the president to give them their money.
What happened to the 10 billion naira that Kemi Adeosun gave to them recently that they said they used to buy cars?
I think that was a wrong approach from her, even though she's tried to make a bit of clarification. But the National Assembly has so much money. 130 billion. It's not a university. Check a university's worth. It's less than 15 billion.
Yes.
So are you saying that because I've been to National Assembly conferences, are you saying that the National Assembly needs more money than an entire university?
Unfortunately, we can't take any more. But I think our next part two of this is looking into state budgets.
Yes, we should.
And that's because we see all the governors do things without any pure immunity. They just nobody can hold them to ransom on what they're saying and what they're doing. So we need to really hold them more accountable to how they spend our budget in the states. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow.
We had a fantastic show.